Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a consent agenda that was mailed on Friday. We've, I think, both had a chance to look over it. If there are no items that we wish to pull from
There's a presentation first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Thank you. Presentation, Clermont Senior Services.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just busted on.
You did. Do you want me to go sit down?
No.
Not at all.
No.
That's the hardest thing to get me to do. You know that. I really do appreciate this opportunity to be asked back kind of, into the year a little bit. It's really not so much an annual report on 2016. I did that, I think, back in March or April. But what I wanted to do is bring you up to date on where we are. I supplied the PowerPoint for you in advance, and I did that. And what I did in that was update from what I had previously presented to you for the year 2016 for January 1st through August 31st. So this will just give you a little bit of update, give you a chance to ask any questions you might have. And there are 40 slides. I am not going to dwell. Eyeballs always get big when I say that. But the primary purpose was that you have an update on all of the services and information regarding that. So I'm hitting the W. It doesn't seem to be going forward beyond that.
I know W is white and white,
Yeah.
and B and B, but...
There we go.
Yeah, arrows.
Arrows. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Again, Clermont Senior Services, we exist. We exist for one reason, and that's to provide a broad range of in-home services to keep seniors living in their own homes for as long as possible, therefore delaying nursing home placement and, bottom line, saving taxpayers too. At 1/3 the cost of nursing homes, independent living is very, very important. And let's face it, we all want to live independently. We all want to live in the dignity of our own home, sleep on our own pillow, be among very, very familiar surroundings. And that's why we're here. Clermont Senior Services focuses on a bias to serve. Even though we do have funding requirements that are eligibility requirements, we work very, very hard to look carefully at each individual situation. And in so doing, we feel that, if there is a way we can serve that person, or we can hook them into other services in the community whereby, their needs can be met, that's what we're going to do too. We are very committed to performance excellence, to being extremely careful and responsible stewards of taxpayer and donor dollars. We believe in a very continuous assessment of need and protecting the health, safety, and well-being of older adults in our community. Our typical customer, this doesn't change, female, still female, age 75, lives alone. $1,200 a month is about the average income. The youngest person we serve is age 60, the oldest 106, and she still lives at home. You can see what's happened over the years with revenue with the agency. It did decline after 2008 because, of course, the value of real property declined, and so did levy revenue. It has slightly increased. We're seeing a better economy, and therefore it's slightly increased. We have not asked for an additional millage to our 1.3 mil levy that's been in place now 16 years when we last renewed. 70% of all revenue for services comes directly from the levy, comes directly from the people of this community who have continued to trust Clermont Senior Services. We are private, not for profit. The levy revenue also serves as local match for United Way, and it helps us to do certain grant programs. For instance, if it wasn't for those levy revenues, we would not be able to acquire the vehicles that we use in our 20-vehicle fleet to take people to and from dialysis and doctor's appointments and veterans to and from VA hospital. The levy is the payer of last resort, so if someone is eligible for Medicare or Medicaid, those sources of funding come into play first. Therefore, we are able to use those levy dollars to be leveraged that much further. This gives you just sort of a percentage of the overall agency budget. This is the 2017 budget. Obviously, they're projections, but this is what is in the budget. Home care represents 35.3%, transportation 18.7%, case management 15.57%. This includes home repair, adult protective services, and guardianship investigative staffing costs. Adult day services is 12.09%, home delivered meals 7%. We also have additional services, lifelong learning centers, volunteer resources, home repair, and congregate meals. Those, that home repair is more the cost of materials, et cetera. Those are, obviously not those critical needs services that are described above. And over the years, as all of you know, I've talked to you a good bit about that. We've worked hard to make sure that we are focusing on the critical needs. And we've done a great deal of work in the last 8-9 years to really make sure that that's what we're doing. Home care, I'm just going to kind of focus on an overview, the end of the third year quarter. But it's really not the end of the quarter, it's the end of August. 1,378 individuals have been served so far in that program only. And we have delivered 60,552 hours of service. This is a breakdown in home care. This shows you the percentages that other funding provides. So you can see if you go down, the levy's at 23.12%, critical to our ability to be able to provide that service. And again, total budget, 33.78%. Home delivered meals. These are Meals on Wheels, as most people know them by. 425 individuals have already been served this year, and 47,916 Meals on Wheels have been delivered. And it's important to note here too, because we're private not-for-profit, we're really in a very good position to to have the good fortune of working with volunteers from all over the county. 80% of our Meals on Wheels are delivered by volunteers. That means, again, we are able to leverage those levy dollars and other funding source dollars that much further. The funding sources for that particular program, levy, Passport MyCare Ohio, those are Medicare, Medicaid programs, and United Way. And you can see the breakdown there a little bit. Now, what I've done here is, this is within the program. You can see, or within the greater agency, you can see the breakdown of, like, the levy dollars, 1.06% of the whole budget. That would be under home delivered meals. Adult day services. You're very familiar with this. The Adult Day Services Center is located on our administrative office campus on Sauls Drive. It's a wonderful place where people can come. These are folks who really, they can't stay home alone. And honestly, being able to go to Adult Day, being able to be with others, to socialize, to engage in activities that are designed to help promote their cognitive abilities, their ability to remember. The vast majority of those persons attending Adult Day have Alzheimer's disease or some other dementia-related disorder. And by getting out and having something besides a television with which to relate is so important to their continued health. 151 individuals were provided 51,426 hours already this year. And these are just a few pictures. I did stick a little note in there. We get notes all the time from the people we serve or their family members. And the wife of a participant shared, actually, Adult Day has changed my life and his. He now feels purposeful, and I have a break for the days he attends to catch my breath. And that's really what it's about. Funding sources for Adult Day, the levy, Title III, Passport MyCare Ohio, VA, Alzheimer's respite funds from the state of Ohio. All customers at Adult Day are either, they also receive, in addition to levy, Passport MyCare Ohio, Veterans, or Title III, which is the Older Americans Act. And again, the levy is the payer of last resort. So if someone's eligible for VA or veteran services, then VA pays for their attendance there. That allows the levy dollars to be stretched that much further. The note that I have here is something that I reported to you back earlier in the year, and this has not changed. We are seeing a much, much higher level of need in terms of care in many of the individuals. We look at level 1, 2, and 3, and level 3, these are the folks who need the greatest amount of care. They need toileting, they need to be fed, and they need more monitoring. So, I mean, back in October, a year ago, we were serving 8 to 10 people in that level each day. Now we're serving 26 to 28. And that's been consistent with what we've seen since February. So you can see, and you know, I talked to the director of that program, and you know, what she has seen is people are coming into the program a little later in their diagnosis, but they're doing very well in the program. It's a much higher level of care, and you can see the breakdown here. The levy revenue. So far, well, for the 2017 budget, $564,589. You can see that breakdown. Home repair and modification program. Part of really being able to keep people living in their own homes is that it's a safe environment. So if someone comes home from the hospital and needs grab bars, but they can't afford to have someone come in and install grab bars, we're able to come in and do that. Again, we use a lot of volunteers in this program, but then we also have others who come in and help. They install grab bars, they'll install handheld showers, they'll fix someone's floor if it's falling through. All of, safety things that are so important that contribute to an individual's ability to live alone in his or her own home. And that's what that program is about. We are not major remodelers by any means, but we are about keeping people living safely in their homes. So far this year, we've served 144 individuals and provided 1,604 hours of service. And just to note, the average income of people receiving home repair services is under 125% of poverty guidelines. And you can see the breakdown. $60,000 is the budget, but I will tell you that the director of this department works very hard, and she writes a lot of grants in order to help pay for things like materials, because most of the people we serve obviously don't have that ability to pay. Case management, we have 13 licensed social workers, registered nurses, or licensed practical nurses who assess individuals for eligibility. Federal funding, Older Americans Act has guidelines for home delivered meals, home care, and transportation that we have to follow, and we have our own guidelines. We want to be sure that the dollars are there for the people who need it most. Clermont Senior Services is about helping those who cannot help themselves, and we believe that we have that responsibility to do that. And so the case management staff, they go out and they do an initial assessment, they determine what that individual needs, and then they come back and they have a team meeting, and they decide what in fact that individual needs. They bring maybe volunteer resources in because that person might need a volunteer shopper, someone who, they don't need Meals on Wheels because they can actually prepare a meal in their home, but they don't drive, and they need someone maybe who just does the shopping. And so we have volunteer shoppers who will go out and do grocery shopping for seniors in our community. And again, keeps them living in their own home. But they're there to make sure they understand what that individual needs, that it's within all of the eligibility guidelines, and that they're always monitoring that person. On average, each case manager has about 135 individuals in his or her caseload. And there's a breakdown. The delivery of services, it just, in the second paragraph especially, we are very diligent in the way customers are assessed. It's not just based upon a professional subjective analysis, but it's very quantitative through an ADL and IADL scoring system. And these tools help our case managers more accurately measure the level of care that's needed. We also have lifelong learning centers. Everyone is familiar with the term senior centers, but they've evolved over the years. We have fewer centers because the demand for that traditional, I'm going to go play bingo, I'm going to play cards kind of center, isn't there as much as it was at one time. The lifelong learning centers provide seniors the opportunity to grow, whether it's through volunteer opportunities, socialization, but certainly through the enrichment classes that are offered. It's a minimal donation, but it's something that people are able to contribute toward, to pay for those classes. And they do everything from art classes, watercolor, to Tai Chi and yoga, and which sounds pretty good sometimes, But they have a lot of classes. They have like Steady You class, which is a great program that was the training's offered through the Council on Aging, and we have trained facilitators who do that program. And the idea is, how do we stop slips, trips, and falls? By helping others maybe gain some strength and stability. So those are all great programs, and these are a few of the pictures.
My mother learned to line dance at seniors.
Did she?
And you created a monster.
Did I? Okay. Well, we talk about those things, and it sounds like, okay, line dancing, do people really want to do that or need to do that? But what the socialization does is it keeps people from being isolated. And that was part of what Clermont Senior Services was founded upon in 1969. Because what the founder of our agency saw was that seniors were becoming more isolated. We're in a very transient society, and families are not, sometimes, adult children are living in other areas, so they're just not right here in our community to care for their parents like they would like to. So it gives them a chance to be out, but it also brings them into a loop of friends and staff at Senior Services, that if someone needs something, then they're already hooked into that loop. And this is a breakdown on our lifelong learning centers. Congregate meals. We don't do a lot of congregate meals anymore. We used to, because quite frankly, the congregate meal program was very important at a time when there weren't other options for seniors. The purpose is to reduce hunger and food insecurity, to encourage socialization, and promote health and well-being. Well, whether it's good or bad for them, you can buy a hamburger at a local fast food restaurant for $1, and they enjoy that more. As far as I'm concerned, they have every right to eat what they want to eat. That's my feeling. But they're not as interested in that congregate meal. But we do congregate meals, of course, in our Adult Day Services Center, and then we also do congregate meal. We do some in other areas too. And this is the breakdown on that funding. is you notice that every program has the opportunity for customers to donate, for the people who participate to donate toward that program. And finally, our specialized medical transportation, I'm sure you've seen our buses on the road. Sometimes they're actually doing their pre-check, at least every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There are several drivers doing pre-check at 3:45 a.m. because they're on the road by 4, because there are 5 a.m. dialysis appointments. And people are being picked up and taken to their dialysis appointment by 5 a.m. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we're running 2 shifts of folks in the morning and in the afternoon. And then we have, in between all of that, we are transporting people to and from adult day services and other medical appointments. The drivers are very, very busy during the day. So far this year, just as a side note, we've already served 110 veterans who've received 4,279 rides. Most of those are to the VA hospital downtown. I say so far this year, but that's through August 31st. And you can see here is an example of a few of our buses and the people we serve. And this is a breakdown of that. I will mention, in terms of our fixed assets, I said earlier how important those levy dollars are. We just got the invoice for $44,400. That's 20% of the total cost of 4 vehicles. That's pretty darn good. That's 3 10 plus 2s or 12 plus 2s. That means 12 passengers plus 2 wheelchair tie downs, and then 1 modified minivan. And that's so critical in our ability to be able to keep our fleet, safe and also low maintenance.
Is your modified minivan handicap accessible also?
Everything is handicapped accessible. Everything. And that's why we do most of the veterans who are 60 years of age and older, because of the vehicles having that. We have 1 vehicle that has the rear. It's a modified mini, but it has the ramp that comes off the back. And I just think those are the best of all, but ODOT hasn't approved those yet for the program. Adult Protective Services and Guardianships. We have the contract with the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services to perform investigations under the Ohio Revised Code for Adult Protective Services. These are cases of abuse, self-abuse, neglect, self-neglect, and exploitation. We are about protecting older adults. And when that report comes into our investigative staff, then they begin immediately to investigate that report. I will tell you, in 2008, we had 124 referrals for cases of this nature. We are on track this year to do over 200, between 280 and 300. That's a sad statement, in the sense that these are the things that we're looking at in our community. And much of this is as a direct result of the opioid addiction problem, because financial exploitation, primarily by family members, is a serious challenge. And I just kind of reviewed that. And the cases are more complex than ever. I mentioned volunteers are so very important, and oh my gosh, they're incredibly important. 213 volunteers have already provided 14,803 hours of service. Those are hours of service that, because of the generosity of these volunteers, they're able to do that for us, for the people in this community, and again, it leverages those levy dollars that much further. And like I mentioned, 77 to 80% of home delivered meals are delivered by volunteers. Clermont Senior Services has 7 HUD 202 communities for low-income seniors. The most recently constructed was Dimmitt Woods in Batavia, and that's a picture of Dimmitt Woods. And they're located in various parts of the community. We have 264 units and I believe 342 on the waiting list as of the end of September. So it's a real need. Sadly, the HUD program, HUD 202 program, new dollars for construction was obliterated a number of years ago, about 6 years ago, and that's a shame because I don't think any of us really want to see homeless seniors. I know we don't. So, one of the things I talk about a lot is our commitment to being responsible stewards of taxpayer and donor dollars. And so in 2008, there were 143 full-time equivalents. And what began at that time is when I returned to the agency, it was just a matter of really drilling down into the structure and finding the most cost-effective ways of serving people. And we made a lot of changes, and today we actually have 96 full-time equivalents, and we're delivering more service, which I think is really, really key. As all of you have heard many, many times, the projected growth of those persons who are 60 years of age and older, I think we're probably right around 43,000, something like that now in 2017. And we're looking by 2020, that's 3 years from now, 51,000. From 2000 to 2020, we will have experienced 120% growth in our 60-plus population. That's very, very significant. We kind of bop back and forth between being the third, fourth, fifth fastest growing county in the state of Ohio for that population. This is just, gives you a sense of with the levy dollars and where we experience the losses and where we are at this time. In conclusion, we do continue our commitment to be responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars and to seek ways to be the most we can to the seniors who are in need in Clermont County. I appreciate you asking questions along the way. That's great. Does anyone have any other questions?
I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now I'll go into my speech about consent agenda. The consent agenda was mailed to us on Friday, and if there are no items that need to be removed from the consent agenda for further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as prepared.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as prepared.
Second?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. And then we'll skip to item 14 on page 7. Board of County Commissioners resolution.
It's a recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt Resolution 15417, resolving to approve the payment to vendors in the total amount of $2,990,500.74, as set forth in the BCC approval invoices reports for checks dated October 11th, 2017.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 154-17?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 15.
Hi, Judy.
Good morning.
Morning.
Judy Eschman, Director of Job and Family Services. Item 15 is my recommendation, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, Interim County Administrator, to acknowledge the execution of the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services Inter-County Agreement and certification for release and acceptance of funds by and between Clermont County, Ohio, and the following county relative to the inter-county adjustment of allocated funds in the amount outlined below, by myself as authorized designee of the Board of Clermont County Commissioners pursuant to Resolution Number 1417, previously ratified by the Board of Clermont County Commissioners on February 1, 2017, pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth therein, and in accordance with Rule 5101 9-6-82 of the Ohio Administrative Code. This is the last exchange of funds for this year. This is for state fiscal year and federal fiscal year dollars. We have exchanged funds with 6 counties and 11 different funding streams for a total of, for the year, $290,751.17.
That's magic. You work hard at that, and it stretches the dollars for everybody by moving things that we don't have a need for and others moving them to us that they don't have a need for. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We have a motion to approve the execution of the Job and Family Service Intercounty Agreement and Certification as outlined in item 15.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye. Item 16. Thank you, Judy.
Item 16 is a recommendation of Pat Monger, the county engineer, to execute record plat number 629-3015 for the Twin Gates subdivision located within Batavia Township, and to execute the performance and maintenance bonds for the construction of sidewalks and streets.
And do we have a motion to execute record plat 629-3015 and execute the performance and maintenance bonds as described in item 16?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye. Item 17. Suki?
Good morning, Suki Sheets with the Office of Management and Budget. We have a couple supplemental appropriations, again, for retirements. In general fund, in the auditor's general office, regular salary is $8,932. And also in general fund, in the auditor's office, retirement payout, $4,924. Along with this will be in the real estate assessment fund, regular salaries $13,397, and the real estate assessment fund retirement payout $7,386. This will pay out the sick and vacation time. We do, if you remember, in general fund, we do have a funded liability outside of general fund that we maintain that'll go and reimburse general fund for these expenses.
We have a motion to approve the supplemental appropriations as contained in item 17.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye. Any add-ons?
We do have an add-on, Mr. Lamping.
Morning.
Morning.
My name's Carl Lamping, Director of the Building Inspection Department, and I'd like to make or recommend that we adopt, let's see. So with the concurrence of Andy Kushta, Interim Assistant County Administrator, to adopt a revised table of organization for the Board of County Commissioners to add a position of a permit specialist 1 or 2, classification 19-121, pay range 7, or classification 19-122, pay range 10, as outlined in Exhibit A, and attached thereto, made part thereof, effective 10/11/17, and to remove 1 permit specialist 2 position, classification 19-122, pay range 10, effective 12/31/2017.
And my understanding on this is that this is to create a position to train someone in, and then a position goes away.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
We have a motion to approve the change in table of organization for the Building Inspection Department.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lamping.
Is there anything else?
Session.
Then we have a need for executive session pursuant to Section 121.22 G3 and G4 of the Ohio Revised Code to, number 1, confer with prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation, and 2, to prepare for, conduct, review, negotiate, or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, respectively. Do we have a motion to go into executive session under those 2 sections?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye. We're back from executive session. No motions were made. We're now ready for the public portion of the meeting. We have reached the public participation section of the agenda. During this time, the board does not answer questions or engage in debate. No member of the public may comment on a matter that is not within the purview of the county commissioner's responsibility. The commissioners are not expected to comment on matters brought to the board during this time. Each speaker shall only speak once and shall be recognized by myself. Is there anyone who would like to speak to the board? Yes, sir. In accordance with the board's rules, your comments are limited to 5 minutes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, I'm glad to be here. I'm Chris Hicks from 444 Woodruff Court, Cincinnati, Ohio. And I just want to start out by saying that I think that 99.99% of citizens that that would have been silenced if they were subjected to what I've been subjected to over the last few months. So for all those people who feel like they are ignored, they are dismissed, or that their government seeks retribution against them for stating their positions and opinions, I'm here. So what I want to do is I want to very quickly address two things. What I think are some unanswered questions, and then I'm going to talk about the progress of where we are right now. So what I have here is I made these cards to help us. So I have here, I'm going to cover the top 10 questions that I think you, our swamp leaders, are still evading relating to the hotel tax and the CVB. Question 10. Why can't we have a government-free CVB that actually consists of travel industry professionals and business owners? Question 10. Question 9. Why was anyone paying a lobbyist to slip a tax into the budget on behalf of the county in the dark of the night if it was a good deal and it was supported by all? Question 8 on my top 10 list of questions that I think are unanswered. How many contracts has the CVB made using $3.5 million in taxpayer money controlled by the county but not following meeting, record, or procurement rules? That's question 8. Question 7 on my top 10 list of questions that are unanswered. And why is there a secret county-controlled CVB executive committee that can spend public money without political, public, or CVB board oversight? Question 6 on the top 10 list. Why did Commissioners Painter and Humphrey not just vote on it in public, but instead kept secret a plan to raise taxes, issue debt, and subsidize pro sports? Question 5 in my top 10 list. How could Commissioner Ubel be uninvolved while threatening an hotelier, engaging a lobbyist, the landowner, and Representative Green, and being a CVB executive committee member? Question 4 on my list of top 10. Who made, who saw, and who hid the secret February 2017 document on CVB letterhead outlining the FC Cincinnati tax and debt plan in detail? Question 3, who made, who saw, and who saw the February 2017 fake list of supporters of the tax and debt for pro sports scheme, and why did they keep it quiet when they found out it was a fraud? Question 2, in my top 10 list of unanswered questions, who paid for the secret 2016 Ubel birding trip to Atlanta, and what other hidden trips and interactions took place? And finally, question 1 on my top 10 list of unanswered questions, was Ubel in the closed-door portion of the Port Authority board meeting on February 15, 2017, where a source in the meeting told me he presented the scheme? So those are my top 10 questions, and that's really what the main part of what I wanted to cover. I want to conclude by just laying out, now that we're at the point we are in the progression of these events, where I think we are in this and where I think we're going. So I have here the 4 phases of this swamp saga, the 4 phases of the swamp saga that's been revealed by what started with the secret hotel tax. Phase 0. Phase 0, gentlemen, is doing sketchy stuff you want to keep secret. What kind of sketchy stuff? Secret trips. Take over the CVB. Secret CVB executive committee. Secret list of supporters that was a sham. Okay? That's phase 0. You want to keep that stuff secret. Phase 1. Phase 1, this is when people started asking questions, and I put down being disingenuous, hiding information, threatening, and demonizing. So this was kind of June. This was kind of June, when there were promises of meetings that didn't take place, And the hope, I think, was it would all blow over the summer and just go away. Then we moved to phase 2. Phase 2 consisted of inaccurate minutes, deleted video, and removal from meetings. So I asked questions. I think I asked legitimate questions. I think I just went through 10 legitimate questions. And what happened was there was a need to try to kibosh the questions and kibosh the content and answers to those questions. But it got worse. It got worse. We moved into phase 3. The guy keeps asking the questions we won't answer, so we got to get him out of the meetings entirely. So in phase 3, there was an attempt at criminal charges against me, and there was a protection order to keep me out of meetings and to be unable to petition my government. And now we're moving into phase 4. And I want to read this one. It says, my ongoing quest for clean and open governance. I'm not going away. We deserve clean and open government. You guys should be accountable. I put down here, my army of one versus your pride in threats to hoteliers, secret tax and debt schemes, subsidizing pro sports, hiding secret trips, using fraud to slip it in, blocking dissent, evading real questions, and looking the other way. So let me conclude with this last chart. And with respect to you guys, this is not, I don't want, the top part of this, I don't want to be, you feel it's aimed at you, because you did not say these things. But I put here, this is my summary. So why don't we address whether I am a volatile, toxic, disingenuous, nefarious, harassing, delusional, textbook psychotic, whose friend is a terrorist, right after you guys come clean, answer real questions, and drain this swamp. We can have a better county, we can have a better leadership that is focused on respect for the citizens, not trying to demonize citizens in secret plots that they have behind the scenes. Thank you, gentlemen. I truly appreciate the opportunity to present to you.
Thank you.
That's all we have.
Okay, then we'll take a brief recess while the minutes are prepared, and we get a chance to look over them. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I will second that with the corrections that have been stated.
So you think I made a motion? Okay, I make a motion, you second.
Got it.
Got it?
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
That concludes our business for today. Thanks for coming.